Hello and welcome back. I haven't seen you for a bit and you haven't seen me for a bit, and that's because the weather's been horrible. It's been raining and blowing and it's really been horrible. And judging by this sky, just about anything can happen in the next 24 hours. Well, today's forecast isn't fantastic, but it's certainly okay to get a sailing. So I get the boat out as quick as I can and I have a little look at the sky, and it doesn't look too bad with me, and it's blue that way. So I'm going to chase the blue bit of sky once I've got all these fenders away. I keep getting asked how to put my ropes away. It's dead easy. You hold your hand and you put it from one side to the other side, back to the other side, back to the other side. You make loops like dog's ears. And this way you introduce no twists in it. And then when you've got enough of it piled up, see 2 sets of dog ears, you just wrap it right round, and a couple of times, it doesn't matter exactly how many, but when you've got enough of a tail left, just shove it through the eye in the top, pull the eye over the top of itself, back down, and pull on the loose bit, and that's it, all tidied up and ready to go. Well, we're making good headway through the water. That's because the wind's behind us. The water's quite flat, so we're moving quite quickly through it, but we're moving against it. As you can see on this buoy here, we're pushing tide, but that's okay because we're not travelling a million miles. We've got blue skies over a full sail, being shoved along, engines off, the wheel's at peace, and we're actually sailing. Which is a lot better than we've been doing of late, sitting inside, hoping the weather will break. Well, it's broken. Except for maybe that black cloud there, and that black cloud there, and that black cloud there, and that really black cloud there. Let's hope that none of them come and get us, except the bits which have got the silver linings. Well, we've got an apparent 10 knots of wind behind us, which is pushing us into the ebb quite nicely. And I'm trying to catch that sunshine that you can see on the hills over there. Well, I got to cross the straits to get round that buoy over there now, which is this one on the chartlet. So it means from going from one bank to the other bank more or less, and round this gap here. And then I'm going to be heading back towards the bank that I started off in the first place. The water's moving this way, which is this way on the chartlet. So it's pushing me always to port of the red mark. And there's a sandbank, but there's plenty of wind blowing the boat from behind to keep me on the right track, even if the foresail can't get its hands on any of it. However, it should do when we get round this mark. Oh, it's not a mark, buoy. When we get round this buoy, we'll get more of a reach. And with 10 to 15 knots of wind, we should go quite well. The weather forecast is saying that the weather's going to be okay today. It actually says sunshine and dry with temperatures up to 15 degrees, which is all very nice. You can laugh a lot at winter forecasts though, because they're quite often far from right, especially if you're planning on them. Right, I think I best get ready for a jibe. It's about to come up now. I'll just grab the main sheet and help the boom on its way. If the wind can fight me back or not, I don't know. There it goes. Jibe done, all successfully, nice and peaceful and quietly. And now we're on a new track to another buoy, which is a green can, which is just ahead of us. Well, the foresail shouldn't hide too much at this moment in time, so we might be able to get a little bit of shape out of that as well, and a little bit of pace. But as you can see, we're moving through the water all right, and we're getting past that buoy quite quickly. And we're punching into about 2 knots all the time, so making progress is quite good. It means if we're making 2 knots over the ground, and by the speed we're moving through the water and over the ground, I'd say we were making more like 5 knots on this little bit of a runny reach. Certainly putting some distance between me and that red can quickly. Just thought I'd check out what the sails are looking like now, because I haven't given them much thought. And they're filled okay, but I just noticed something at the foot of the sail. I haven't tightened up the halyard at all. It's got a big bag there in the bottom of the sail. Well, I want to reef as I turn the corner a little bit. Reef to keep the boat comfortable, that is. Not that I'm being battered or anything by the weather. I'm just in no rush, and and making 3 knots over the ground against 2 knots of current. Well, that's fairly good, and all very good in 10 knots of apparent wind. Well, I just set the foresail up before I deal with the mainsail. We're crossing the bank to the other side now, which means that we're on a nice reach. So I'll put auto helm on. I'll leave the boom paid out so that now hopefully the sail won't have as much pressure in as it had before when I was running, and maybe I'll be able to tug that halyard up a little bit. So here goes. I'll go and give my 11.5 stone a tug on that halyard and see if I can sweat it a little bit. There you go. Sails popped up lovely, but I needed to do that because I want to put a little bit of reef into the mainsail, and I daren't start winding it up with any creases in the luff because it can cause the sail to jam on its way, and that's the last thing you want. That's going to not make the day. Right, now that the luff's ready, I just let the out haul go, so that lets the clue fly up and down in the wind, and then I can just wind gently. If there's a bit of breeze in it, I always think that's better for putting it in than none whatsoever, because it keeps the sort of sail with a little bit of shape as it rolls a bit. And then a quick yank on the out haul, pull the sail back into some kind of shape, and hopefully she'll be a balanced boat. And that way we can sail nice and easy, and we're not eeling much either because there's not a lot of wind, but we are going fairly well, quick enough for what I want to do. It's not a massive sail, it's not passage making, it's just get out and have a little bit of fun. Well, that's exactly what I am doing. Although I'm not jumping up and down, you can't see a great big smile on my face. I'm smiling inside. Not forgetting at this point, we've got 10 knots of wind on the beam, so that's fairly true. I always think even the apparent wind on the beam is fairly close to true wind because it's the beam, it's not accelerated or de-accelerated. The sail plan is quite reefed. It's probably what I'd put in for a 4.6, although we've not got a 4.6. I've got in what's equivalent to about 2 reefs in the mainsail there, and I've got the foresail set at a similar sort of level. So why have I got such little sail up? Well, to tell you the truth, I think I'm doing really well with such little sail up. I'm doing near 4 knots, and there's 2 knots coming against me. And I don't want to begin to add that up because it's really good figures. Really good figures. It's somewhere around the 6 knot mark that she must be moving through the water with a reefed sail. And okay, the wind's got up a little bit on the beam, but it's not a 4.6, and it just goes to show that you can balance the boat in any conditions with even less sail than you think. And I think knowing this are the reasons why I decided to reduce the size of the Genoa. Because if I can slow the wind down now, I can increase the sail plan, can't I? And I can still hopefully be able to make a good pace through the water. Hey look, there's some more people on the boat, but I don't think they're going out. I think they're just getting the sails off and stuff for the winter. Those grey clouds are still chasing us. And just to prove that I'm still going into the tide, you only have to look at which way that boat's hanging there, and it's hanging quite well off the buoy. Considering the wind's up its chuff, it should be overriding the buoy, and it's only the tide that's keeping it back. So the tide's still there, and while that's still there and I'm still pushing into it and I'm making 3 to 4 knots, I'm still pushing into nearly 2 knots of tide, which I will do all the way to my destination, which is only a mile or so away now. There's a lovely little bay just a little bit further up, just before Fellinelli. And that lovely little bay's got one buoy in it, and if there's nothing on that one buoy, I think I'll pick it up and have some R&R. Well, as luck would have it or not, over there that little dot looks like a little fishing boat on what I'd think the buoy's going to be in that little bit of a bay. So I don't think I'll be stopping there if that's the case, but I'll have a little look when I get a bit closer, because I'm still a couple of yards away. Well, when I set off for Victoria Dock and I looked at that bank over there, it was all sunny. It was all sunny all the way down here with blue skies. But unfortunately for me, this grey sky seems to be catching me up. But just behind some of this grey sky, there's a little bit of hope. I can see that blue patch there. So let's hope the grey disappears and just leaves the blue behind. Right, I've stuck the mainsail away, I've opened up the genoa, and it won't take me much to roll that up when I actually get to where I want to be. And if you look over to the right hand side of the screen, you can see a fishing boat. Nope, that's the left hand side. It's not a fishing boat, it's the Speed Boy. 5 knots. Well, I haven't exceeded it because I've only got up to 4. But there's a very good chance these guys will. I do look like I'm doing well with my 4 knots though, because it's 4 knots over the ground, and that's my lovely little bay, and that's the speedboat on the lovely little buoy. That'd have been a nice place for a night, wouldn't it? Meanwhile, somebody's out doing a bit of sail training, and I've got to pass this last little bit of rock, round the corner and into Fellinelly. I'll pick something up there and have a tea break. There's not many boats out though. I seen this fella going the other way. Where he's going I don't know. And on the bank on the other side, just taking his boat out, and I've just missed him, is Fraser. He sails that little Skipper 17 every single month, come hail, rain, sleet or shine. He goes out on it every single month of the year, regardless of the conditions. And not always in the protection of the Menai Straits. He goes out into the sea as well. I've been out once with him, and it's a good fun boat. We were out in a 4.6 on it, and we were all 3 of us climbed up on the side of it to keep it upright. But it did it, it stood it, and we flew along, and we had some decent paces out of it. Look, I'm going to pick this up like a professional now. A proper professional, that is. You know, the first class type, who don't get it first time. I was going to get it first time, and I thought, no, I just won't, no, I'll just let that go, I think. And I'll get it the second time. Yep, there you go. Yeah, they're speeding it up a little bit because it's going to take a bit of time for me to come all the way back around here. And then I thought to myself, now I'll just pick another buoy. One with an easier eye, and I have to chase the seagull off it as well. But there you go, this is a take 2. And this is the way it's supposed to be done. If you are a professional, stick it in there. As soon as I've got it in and I yank the pole out, I stick the boat in the stern and give it a good blast backwards. I don't actually want to overtake the buoy, and I don't want to get where the rope can go underneath the boat either, and that's why I give it a blast backwards. And then I think I feed her off, but obviously I haven't fed her all off in one go, and it nearly snags one of the stanchions, but goes bing and jumps off. Well, it's a long line, and it's cleated off at the bow, so when I get far enough back, she'll just straighten up and the boat can hang on it. Well, this gives you lots of time to sort yourself out. Naturally, with the water still ebbing, she'll drag herself round and she'll hang off the buoy. But it's not too hard to walk to the front and grab hold of it and start yanking it in. And it comes in quite easy. But I won't stay on the metal hook. I'll want to put a lashing line around her of some type or description. So all in my own good time, I nip back and go and get another line from the cockpit. When I got another line from the cockpit, I go back down to the bow and I'll pull the buoy over to myself. And then when I cleat it off, I'm able to work on it quite easily. But I want to get it closer than that. I want to get it right up to the side of the hull, so I'm not going far. So I'll take my line and I'll put my line through the eye, and I'll go through a second time, I'll go round. And the reason I do that is I figure if you've got a double hook in it, it doesn't chafe. If you've just got one line in it on its own without the loop in it, I think it can chafe a lot easier, and you might end up setting yourself free unwillingly in the middle of the night. Well, all this needs to be led in the end of the day through the bow roller, so it's all just hanging down at the end, and I need to take the other line off it as well. That's the one with the hook in, my recovery line. But once I've got the second line in, I can pull it tight, and once I've pulled it tight, I can lean over the side. I can either cleat it off or not cleat it off, lean over the side and grab the metal hook off. Once I've grabbed the metal hook off, then all I've got to do is put those other lines through the bow roller and we're rock and rolling. Now that we've settled, I wanted to take you this moment to show you my new cushions I made. I put 2 cushions here because I think the seat was always sort of in the way. It stopped getting best use of the area, so I've taken the seat out altogether, and now I've just got like a little bit of a cushion bench in rather than the seat. Right, the brew's on the go, very important. and I think I'll enjoy it watching the dinghy racing. The dinghy racing's been going on all afternoon here, and it'll come to the end soon, but there's still a little round up or two to go, so I'll watch the last couple of rounds. Dinghies make very good use of light airs, and the air has got a little bit lighter over the last half hour or so, but they're all still going really well in it. But I do think the air might fade out. I've just hung my my sleeping bag up over the boom to air it a bit, because it got a bit damp because I had a bit of a leak. Not me personally had a bit of a leak, it come in through the window. Let's make that perfectly clear. Well, dinghy racing's soon over, and the sun's hiding just behind them clouds just up there, but as you can see by the water, the air's fallen now. It's starting to turn to bin bags a little bit, and there'll hardly be any wind at all in a bit, which would be nice for an evening. And there's a little bit of evening sun trying to creep through there. Just found a little hole in the cloud to shine through. That's it there, the last of the sunshine, I should imagine. But cloud, doesn't matter, it's going to keep the heat in. It's going to be a nice night. I think I'm stuck here for the night now. I think I'll stay. It's actually now just starting to get a bit dusky. I know it doesn't look like at the moment because the camera's still picking up plenty of light, but where there are lights you can actually see them quite well on the camera, so it gives you an idea of what it's like. Now the sun has actually gone down just. There's the light on our automatic mode. It comes on, it's just a garden light, and that one hasn't popped on yet, but I probably think it will do in a minute. They're only solar light type of thing, but when I look at the lights actually on the land, they actually look quite bright to me now, starting to be the night just falling in. Well, time for something to eat. Bit of cheese on toast to go down well, and I think the sun has definitely gone for the day. It's starting to get a bit black, especially with the black clouds, and it's starting to look a little bit like night's just about to slip in. So I'm definitely here for the night, and I've made myself comfy. It's nice and warm, and I think it's going to be a lovely night. You wouldn't believe it was only 6 o'clock. It's so black. Well, I hope you've enjoyed getting out a little bit in November with me, and with a bit of luck I'll get a sail in tomorrow. Until then, bon voyage.